Hello you most beautiful and most amazing top teners, I'm Rebecca Felgate and today we have a sad but informative topic. We're talking about celebrities who died in a plane crash. Now while this is most amazing top 10, let's not think of this coming list as in a particular order because it's kind of awful. So first up we have Bill Barilko of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now the story here is actually pretty mental. Bill was a star player for the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team in the late 40s up until 1951 when he led the team to win the Stanley Cup. In fact, his last goal scored was what won the team the cup. In August 1951, off-season for the Leafs, Bill set out on a fishing trip to Quebec. He was on board a Hudson's Fairchild 24 float plane that went missing and would not be discovered for 11 years when a helicopter pilot, Ron Boyd, discovered the wreckage on June 6, 1962. Now the plane was found in Cochrane in Ontario, about 55 kilometers off course. Now the cause of the crash was deemed to have been a combination of pilot inexperience, poor weather and overloaded cargo. Very interestingly, in the year the plane and Bill's body was found, the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup once again for the first time in the 11 years that he'd been missing. In at number 9, Hollywood star Carole Lombard. Now, at the time of her death in 1942, Carole Lombard was the highest paid actress in Hollywood. Carole has a square on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and was known as being the darling of the 1930s popular screwball comedies. She married fellow Hollywood actor Clark Gable in 1939. Now at the height of her career she was making 5 movies a year, but unfortunately her career was cut short on the 16th of January 1942 when she was returning from a successful war bond selling tour when her Western Air Flight 3 crashed into a mountain near Las Vegas, Nevada. Now unfortunately it killed all 22 passengers on board, including 15 servicemen. Clark Gable was said to be devastated following her death and never quite recovered. At number 8 we have John F. Kennedy Jr. and family. So it seems like the Kennedy family was deeply blighted by tragedy. Some 36 years after his father, the President of the United States, was assassinated, John F. Kennedy Jr. and his wife Carolyn were killed in a plane crash. On July 16, 1999, John F. Kennedy Jr. piloted his aircraft carrying his wife and his sister-in-law Lauren as they flew to attend his cousin's wedding at Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. Now unfortunately, possibly because it was dark when he was flying, John crashed the plane into the Atlantic Ocean. Now almost a week later, their bodies were found still strapped into their seats at the bottom of the ocean. Terribly sad. In at number 7 we have James Horner. Now James Horner was the Academy Award winning composer and orchestrator for film scores. He wrote the music for Aliens, Titanic, Braveheart, Apollo 13, Field of Dreams, Jumanji and Avatar, just to name a few. Now on the 22nd of June 2015, aged just 61, James died when his aircraft crashed into the Los Paradas National Forest in California. So James was piloting the aircraft, which was presumed to have crashed as a result of accidental human error. He was the only person on board. A really famous one at number 6, we have Buddy Holly. Now the aviation accident that led to the death of musical legends Buddy Holly, JP the Big Booper and rising star Ritchie Valens is often referred to as the day the music died. Popular music artist Buddy Holly was known for his tracks such as That'll Be the Day and Heartbeat. He was on tour with 17-year-old Ritchie Valens, who had just made it big with La Bamba, and JP when they set out for Mason City Municipal Airport on February 3, 1959. Now the aircraft crashed at full throttle shortly after takeoff. Buddy Holly's wife Maria Elena was pregnant at the time and lost the baby after finding out that her husband had been killed. She was sent his iconic glasses. In at number 5 we have Yuri Gagarin. Now Yuri Gagarin was a Russian Soviet pilot and was the first human to journey into outer space. Now he completed his space mission orbiting around Earth on the 12th of April 1961. Yuri found celebrity status after his orbit, everyone being like, "Hey Yuri, you went to space! That's cool." Now, unfortunately on March 27th, 1968, Yuri's plane crashed during a routine training flight. The investigation concluded that the aircraft had entered a spin either due to a bird strike or because of a sudden move to avoid another aircraft. Now because of out-of-date weather reports, the crew believed their altitude to be higher than it was and it could not react properly to safely take it out of the spin. His plane crashed and he died. In at number 4 we have Otis Redding and the Bar Keys. So Otis Redding is best known for the tracks Try a Little Tenderness and Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. He was very much at the peak of his career when he tragically died as a result of a plane crash on December the 9th, 1967. So Redding and his band were flying from Cleveland to Madison, Wisconsin. So they were just a few miles out away from the airport when their plane crashed into Lake Monona in Madison. Now there was one survivor, Bar Key member Ben Corley, who said that other people did survive the impact but help didn't come quick enough and they drowned in the cold waters. Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was released posthumously in January 1968 and became the first posthumous record to take the #1 spot on the US Billboard chart. In at number 3 we have Lynyrd Skynyrd. Now Lynyrd Skynyrd were a popular rock band in the 70s with hits such as Sweet Home Alabama. So lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, Steve Gaines and his sister Cassie Gaines died on a journey to Louisiana State University on October the 20th, 1977 when their plane went down outside of Gillsburg in Mississippi. The official state report said that the crash was a result of inadequate flight planning, fuel exhaustion and engine malfunction, so essentially there wasn't enough fuel to make the flight. The pilot made a failed attempt at an emergency landing in a heavily wooded area, the plane went down, they all died. Now unfortunately Ronnie, Steve and Cassie were all in their late 20s at the time. A really famous one in at number 2, Manchester United. On the 6th of February 1958, British football team Manchester United were returning home from a cup match in Belgrade. Now on board was the whole team plus a number of sports officials, journalists and supporters. The plane stopped in Munich, Germany to refuel when the weather conditions worsened. The plane aborted takeoff twice, but they were forced to make a third attempt as they were denied an overnight stopover in Munich. Now the plane skidded on slush during takeoff, crashed through a fence and into a house. The tragedy claimed the lives of half of those on board, totaling 23 casualties. This included 8 footballers: Jeff Bent, Roger Bryan, Eddie Coleman, Duncan Edwards, Mark Jones, David Pegg, Tommy Taylor and Billy Whelan. Manchester United coach Bert Whaley, trainer Tom Curry and club secretary Walter Crickman also died. Surviving team members included manager Matt Busby, Bobby Charlton, Albert Scallon, Harry Gregg, Dennis Violet and Bill Folks. Almost all of them went on to continue their career, with Busby rebuilding the team to their former glory. Unfortunately Johnny Berry, Ken Morgans and Ray Wood, as well as Jackie Blanchflower, never played again after the accident. So our next and final celebrity that died in a plane crash is the youngest person on this list. We are talking about the incredibly tragic death of Aaliyah. Aged just 22, Aaliyah was very much a rising star when she died, and it was just a month after the release of her third self-titled album, Aaliyah. The R&B singer and Queen of the Damn actress died on the 25th of August 2001, along with 8 others when her private jet crashed after takeoff in the Bahamas. Now the cause of the crash was later revealed to be an issue with weight on the plane. It was overloaded with cargo. On top of that, the pilot was not authorized to fly the aircraft. Aaliyah is the youngest celebrity on this list to have died in a plane crash. It is absolutely really sad. This has been a really sad topic and our heart goes out to all the families of those involved. Hopefully the modern era of safer aviation will help stamp out many accidents like these above. I'm Rebecca Felgate, this has been Most Amazing Top 10. Be sure to like this video if you found it interesting and educational. Also be sure to share it with someone that might be interested in finding out about this topic. Also subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. I will see you next time.